What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Money Moves with Kay. I'm Kay, and today we're going to talk about the other side of landlording that a lot of people just really don't want to deal with, including our family, but it's a part of the job, which is an eviction. We'll talk about our very first eviction, but also make sure you stick around to the end of the video so that you can listen to and hear some of our lessons that we've learned so we proceed in a different manner, all right? Stay tuned to the video. Okay. So I decided to take an alternative route to go check on the land. It was something that was telling me very persistent, go check on that land. So I'm like, okay, cool, I'll go check on the land. So if you're a true money mover, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say take an alternative route, right? Because I was going home, but I took an alternative route to see if I could find any more land or any more properties. And again, my money movers know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so went to go check on the land, and it's the $4,000 land, by the way. $4,000 land that we purchased, and it's an acre of land. If you have no clue what I'm talking about here, please check the link in the description where I have a link to the video where I discuss how we purchased the land for so cheap. And also I delve a little bit into our future plans with the land, which is essentially build a multi-unit property on that land. So I drive by the land and I'm confused because I see something green in the woods. So I'm like, what? Mind you, there's nothing on the land. There is no home. There is nothing on the land. It's just pure land. So I'm confused as to why I see something kind of in the deeper part of the woods, something green. So I'm like, what the heck is this, right? And essentially, when I saw it, I thought that it was our neighbors, right? Because we're all in a very residential, by the way, let me say this. This is a very residential piece of acreage, right? So it's wedged in between two properties that are pretty expensive, because once you hit the end of the story, you might say, well, why would you even have it in that type of area? It must be a bad neighborhood. That is not the case here. It is wedged between, I do my comps very well. So it's wedged between two properties that sell in the six figures, okay? So it's not necessarily like it's not seen. It's on a busy road. It's a major road. So I'm like, what is that's green in the woods? And I was just very confused as to what it was. So I proceeded, got out the car, and I went to go check on what I saw that was green. So if you know anything about me, you know I'm not going to no woods by myself. That is my husband, right? He would go in the woods and do all that nature type stuff. I'll find the property and he'll go inspect for me. He wasn't necessarily with me. So outside of me not wanting to go in the woods, it's a safety issue, right? So I just looked street side. So I just got out the car and I was peeping in the woods kind of from the street view. And I said, wow, it's a tent. So yeah, to my surprise, it was actually a green tent, which looked to be from street side again, from the street view, that someone was actually staying in that tent, which is not something that, I'm happy about. That's not something that I look forward to trying to get somebody off of the land, because essentially they're there for a reason. And I understand that reason. They may not have anywhere else to go. So I'm very compassionate and passionate towards those who are less fortunate, especially in this situation. However, we knew we had to do something about the tent being on that land for various reasons. One of the reasons is that we don't want to set a precedent that it's okay to camp out on this particular land. Another thing we were concerned about was that we could receive a code violation, right? Because that is an improper structure on a land that is not suited for a tent. That land is zoned for residential or multi-units. It is not zoned for tents. So and I always preach about finding code violations, right? But so I know the system. We didn't want to have a code violation, not even knowing that there was a tent on the land. So that's another reason as well. And aside from that, that's trespassing. At the end of the day, whether, no matter the situation, that is trespassing, which I'll get to the end, what I've learned to do in the future with vacant land, especially, or any property for that matter, to secure and make sure that everything's proper, even when you're not there. So I text my husband the pictures of the tent that I saw. I also asked him how he would like to proceed, being that it was a tent. It wasn't necessarily a physical structure. And he said he would take care of it when he got home after work, but not to approach the property or the tent in that manner, which I already knew I wasn't going to do that. So later on that evening after he got off of work, I told him he's not going by himself. I was recording, and I'll drop the video right here so you can kind of see the recording of what kind of transpired. But I wanted to make sure he was okay. I wanted to make sure that we had a video of some sort for our safety as well, because essentially we don't necessarily know what's in the tent either. It could be all types of stuff, right? So we wanted to be very precautious and make sure that we were doing the right thing by the law, and also to ensure that everybody was safe, not just us. So after my husband got off of work, we proceeded to go to the land and check everything out. He actually went inside the woods, and I was recording just for safety measures for everybody. And if you guys recall, my husband served in the military for 20 years. So I'll just say here that we were well protected, legally well protected, that is. And he proceeded to go to the tent and to see what was going on. I told him not to open the tent, which he knew that anyway, not to open it, because we don't know what we're gonna find, right? So he went in and he actually saw a note on the tent. And the note basically read that the person wrote that they knew they weren't supposed to be there, but they were in the process of moving. So that kind of took us by surprise. Like, at least you know that you're not supposed to be here, but also we understand that you're in the process of moving, but you just can't necessarily camp out here, right? So we had to do something about it. So once he came out of the tent and described to me what he saw, we basically pretty much mutually agreed to call the police for everyone's safety, for the fact that this wasn't a natural physical structure on our property, on our land. So we wanted to make sure that we were doing everything the right way. So we called the police. So the police came and they pretty much, she got our identification and everything, made sure that it was our land. I printed out our parcel, the gist information, and gave her the parcel ID, and everything checked out. So she went in the woods. She actually checked out the tent. She opened the tent, looked around with her flashlight, and came back to us. And to our surprise, there was nothing in the tent, but it was some alcohol and some other things that signifies that the person was actually just camping out there, staying there, whatever the case may be. She then proceeded to tell us that we can pretty much do with the tent as we feel is necessary. It is our land. They're not supposed to be there. It was trespassing, so we can do with the tent as we see fit. So my husband and I basically discarded the tent, and the officer pretty much stayed there until we were finished, and that was that. Now, these are a couple of things that I learned during this process, right? So the very first mistake really that we made was not necessarily informing or introducing ourselves to our neighbors. I'm a proponent. Again, I told you there's two people on each side of the parcel of land that we have. I'm a big proponent of really sticking your head out there, introducing yourself to your neighbors so they know who you are and so that you know who they are, but also so they can watch the property while you're not there, especially if it's vacant, right? So that's our very first mistake, is that we did not introduce ourselves, which we will now. We plan to do that very soon, or in the upcoming days. But we didn't introduce ourselves so that we can establish a rapport with our neighbors, so that if anything were to happen, they seen something suspicious, because clearly they saw it, right? If they see anything suspicious, they could say, hey, Kay, there's something suspicious going on at your land. There's a tent. It's not supposed to be there, right? Another thing that we'll do is place no trespassing signs all around the property, vacant land or not. People need to know that's just a first warning. It won't prevent somebody from, camping out or doing anything illegal on the land, or not illegal, just being there. But it will serve as a barrier to say, hey, you're not supposed to be here. And if we catch you, further measures can be taken. Also, we'll have a camera. So we actually have a camera that's not connected to the internet, so that we place on our land here at our new construction property. We still have it. So we'll actually get the same camera for that property so that we can kind of see what's going on and just make note of it, so that we are alerted and we can do something about it a lot sooner, a lot faster. Because at the end of the day, we don't know how long they've been out there, right? And luckily they were not there to, cause a confrontation, or luckily they weren't hurt. That was my main concern, or just in there. And that's like harsh conditions. So overall, it just necessarily wasn't a good idea to camp out at that particular land. Plus, that land is a bit hilly and we haven't gotten it leveled off yet. So water, mold, all those things can happen. And it just wasn't the safest conditions to camp out anyway. Another thing that we're thinking about doing is putting up a gate or fence of some sort, so that it's already boarded up. But again, we haven't leveled the property out yet. So that for us may not necessarily be the best idea. I think the no trespassing sign and the cameras are our best bet, which we're setting up at the moment, so that we're able to make sure that everything is secure and we can just be alerted a lot sooner. Because again, like I said earlier, we just don't know how long that person or persons were there. So those are some things that we've learned that will change definitely in the future, so that we don't encounter the same problem, or so that we can be a little bit more proactive and safeguarded. But that really got us thinking, like, we got to get on the ball with this land, start getting some things up so that we can flatten it out and it can be cleared out, so that it's just even easier to see who's on it and who's maneuvering on it. But yeah, that's the end of my video. Thank you so very much for making it to this point. Do me a huge favor. If you made it to this point, you're a true money mover. Of course, I appreciate you. And in the comment section below, put landlord if you're a landlord, or you could put future landlord if you intend to be a future landlord. Place that in the comment section so that I know that you made it to this part of the video, and I truly appreciate you once again. Until next time, guys, you stay blessed. Peace.